Let's start with a number. 1. Picture it, a single point in the sky, completely, utterly alone.
Now picture this number, 64. That's not just a number, it's an overwhelming wave of enemy aircraft just appearing out of the haze. So this is the story of what happens when 1 goes up against 64. The date? December 13th, 1943. And for one pilot, the choice was brutal. You either run and watch your base get obliterated, or you fight and almost certainly die. We're going to talk about the choice he made. Okay, so here's the scene. It's over Assam, India, and a guy named Second Lieutenant Philip Adair is the only Allied pilot in the sky. The only one. And suddenly, a massive Japanese formation, we're talking 64 planes, bombers, and fighters, is heading straight for his home base, Dinjan airfield. The odds, they're not just bad, they're straight up impossible. So let's break down the hardware here. Adair's in a P-40 Warhawk. It's tough, it's fast in a straight line, and it packs a punch. The Japanese are flying the Ki-43 Oscar, and that thing, it's a dancer. It can turn on a dime. So if you're a P-40 pilot, there's one rule you live by. Never, ever get into a turning fight with an Oscar. You just don't. And what was he protecting? You gotta understand, Dinjan airfield wasn't just some dusty airstrip. It was a vital hub for the airlift into China. On the ground, you've got transport planes, a hospital packed with 63 wounded soldiers, and enough fuel to keep the whole operation going for nearly 2 weeks. If those bombers get through, it would be absolutely catastrophic. Get this, the closest backup was 38 minutes away, an eternity. So Adair made his choice. He threw the rulebook out the window, ignored the insane odds, and just pushed his throttle forward. He was going in, alone. And think about this for a second. His 6 massive .50 cal machine guns, they only had enough ammo for about 12 seconds of continuous fire. That's it. That's all he had to take on 64 enemy planes. 12 seconds. So his plan was just gutsy. He dives out of the sun, using it for cover. And get this, he completely ignores the 40 escort fighters. He goes straight for the bombers. See, he knew he didn't have to shoot them all down. He just needed to break up their formation, cause a little chaos. And man, did it work. He nails the lead bomber, it explodes, and the others just scatter.
But that success came at a huge cost. Now he's got a swarm of very angry Oscar fighters all over him, which means he's got to keep this engine pinned at full combat power. And the P-40's Allison engine, well, as great as it wasn't designed for that. It was literally starting to tear itself apart from the inside out.
So now he's fighting a different battle, against his own plane. It's a ticking clock. The engine starts to overheat. Fast. The coolant temperature just skyrockets, way past the red line. It gets so hot that fuel starts exploding in the cylinders at the wrong time. The whole engine is just shaking itself to death. And then the knockout punch. A burst of enemy fire tears right through the engine cowling and punctures the coolant system. That's the ball game. Green fluid just sprays all over his windscreen, and then steam and fire start belching out of the engine. His plane is officially dying, and he is a long, long way from home. So he manages to turn for home, but it gets worse, as if it could. Enemy bullets had sliced through some control cables. One of his ailerons, the flaps on the wings that control roll, is just stuck. And it's forcing the plane into this uncontrollable roll and dive. At this point, he's not even flying anymore. He's just falling out of the sky. So I ask you, what do? Your plane is on fire, it's crippled, you're plummeting toward the jungle, and your own controls are literally trying to kill you. How in the world do you fly a plane you can't even control? Well, this is where it gets incredible. In a flash of pure genius, Adair has this idea. The damage that's forcing his wing down, what if he was upside down? Then it would force the wing up. So that's what he does. He decides to fly the plane inverted. He literally used the problem to create the solution. And for the next 11 minutes, he pulls off one of the most amazing feats of flying you'll ever hear about. He's in this bizarre rolling pattern. He flips upside down to use the damage to actually gain some altitude. Then he'd roll right side up for just a couple of seconds so fuel could get to the engine before the plane tried to nosedive again. This crazy corkscrewing flight path was so weird that the Japanese pilots chasing him were probably just confused. They eventually gave up and went home. Okay, so he survived the enemy and he survived his own plane trying to kill him, but there was one last problem. He spots an emergency airfield, a place called Nagaghuli. But now he has to land what is essentially a powerless, broken glider. He's just 2 miles out, and his engine finally gives up the ghost. It seizes completely. Silence. Now he's just gliding, and he realizes he's gonna come up short. He's not gonna make it. So what does he do? He does the impossible again. He rolls the plane upside down one last time because flying inverted actually made it a better glider, stretching his glide just enough. Then, at only 200 feet off the ground, he flips it back upright and points it at the runway.
He hits the runway, and he hits it hard. The broken landing gear just collapses, and the P-40 goes into this violent spin across the runway, just a shower of sparks and screeching metal. The fire crews are racing out, they're expecting to find the worst, and then Philip Adair just climbs out of the wreckage.
He made it. He survived. But the big question is, what did all that incredible sacrifice and unbelievable skill, what did it actually accomplish?
Well, his plane, which he called Lulu Belle, was a total loss. It was shot to pieces, the engine was toast. But Dinjan airfield, completely untouched. The Japanese bombers, they turned around, they aborted the mission, and on the ground, 0 casualties. For what he did that day, he was awarded the Silver Star. The official citation says it all, really. For gallantry in action, when Lieutenant Adair, flying alone, engaged and disrupted a formation of 64 enemy aircraft, thereby preventing destruction of critical supply facilities. Just incredible.
And that brings us back to another number, maybe the most important number of the entire day, the number of bombs that actually hit their target. That number is 0, all because of the choice that one pilot made.
You know, Adair's story is so much more than just a war story. It's this absolutely stunning example of thinking on your feet under the most extreme pressure you can even imagine. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? When you're faced with impossible odds, where's that line between raw courage and the absolute limit of human ingenuity?